One of these fine students, whom I'd like to introduce to you, a member of the graduating class, Mark A. Wilson, who was nominated by his fellow students to be their voice at this commencement day. And being selected is an honor. It's also a lot more stress. Mark comes from a part of Ontario that's 40 miles north of Toronto. It's called King Township. Mark tells me that there are more horses there than there are humans. He attended one of Canada's most prominent universities, Queen's University in Kingston. He studied the human life sciences and biomechanics, and that's what led him to the healing art. Mark says he chose chiropractic because the health care philosophy made so much sense to him. During Mark's years at Northwestern, he's been active in the Philosophy Club and the Gonstead Club. I know he's traveled a lot to seminars around the country, too, to augment his education. He played on the college hockey team. How could he not? He's Canadian, eh? It took 30 years in chiropractic education to get that A down. Mark's a student that I've had several long conversations with, and that's really kind of, I don't know, it doesn't happen too often. Mark wrote some really thoughtful articles in Glory's Plexus newspaper, and I wanted to meet Mark. And we've sat down and we've stood up and we've talked about chiropractic principles and chiropractic science and what a wonderful health service chiropractic was. And I've gotten to know Mark more than most. He's not somebody who wastes a lot of conversation. His parents probably know that. But when he's got something to say, well, we've learned to pay attention to him because it's worthwhile. And Mark's going to be an important voice in our profession in the future. He just returned from spending the last part of his internship with Drs. Don and Lynn Butler in Missoula, Montana. And he really appreciated that experience, so much so that after graduation he's going to back to Montana and join the Butlers in practice. He says that as much as he loves chiropractic, that he's found that he really loves the mountains of Montana too. Now let's all welcome Mark A. Wilson as he represents his class.
Thank you, Dr. Allenberg, for those kind words. Thank you very much. Distinguished Board of Trustees, honorable faculty, we'll be taking this off, I think. Loving, proud, and in some cases, I'm sure, outright astonished family and friends. And of course, my fellow graduates. I want to thank you again for nominating me for this high honor. I'm not so sure I'm deserving of this responsibility. After all, I didn't attend all the lectures. I often came late, would sit at the back of the classroom. Perhaps in my absence, you all thought this might be a cruel joke to play on a shy, unsuspecting Canadian. Eh? Having contemplated this responsibility for quite some time, I'm humbled by the fact that as I recall my own graduations from schools ago, I don't have any idea what the commencement speaker had to say, let alone who the commencement speaker was. And that takes a lot of pressure off a guy standing up here today. So, in preparing today's remarks, I sought the counsel of one of my closest advisors, Dr. Michael Peterson, who just so happens to be the first person I shook hands with here in the United States, and who to this day continues to be my biggest supporter, my closest friend, and I thank him for that. Michael gave me some incredibly sage advice. He said, "Willie, That's my nickname. He said, when you're standing up there on that platform, he said, whatever you do, he said, don't try to sound charming or intellectual or witty. He said, just be yourself. Thanks, Mike. Thank you very much. Wow. Wow. Today is the tomorrow we worried about yesterday. Worry and fear. Our early trimesters here at Northwestern were just plagued with worry and fear. Worry about acceptance and fear of failure, fear of the unknown, worried about what the other guy might think. We worried about so many little things too, like quizzes and tests and practical exams and assignments and student loans and family pressures. We saw so many ups and downs going through our years here at Northwestern. We saw couples come together. We saw couples break apart. We saw marriages. We saw divorces. We saw children born, congratulations. And we saw people die as well. Life here at Northwestern was at times close to unbearable, really. But because of loving, supporting family, because of close friendships, we somehow made it through. And Becky, I want you to know that at my weakest times, you unknowingly gave me the strength to carry on. I'd be at home studying away, and I'd be stressed out and worried about things, and I'd picture you at home raising your beautiful child, Chanel, a single mom, and just think, man, if she can do it, why can't I? And you seem to be doing it so well. You'd come to school with a smile on your face all the time, and I just want to thank you for being an inspiration to me and a motivation to carry on. And, knowingly or unknowingly, we all helped each other survive and get through Northwestern. Worry and fear. Worry and fear. The clouds that block the light of our soul, really. Worry and fear. Worry and fear block our innate from flowing above, down, inside out. Worry and fear are the twin thieves that rob us from becoming the true us, the people we're supposed to become. And I heard an acronym for fear not so long ago. It was FEAR. False expectations appearing real. I can't help but think that that's true. That we create our own fear and worries, and I don't know why we do that. It blocks us from becoming who we're supposed to be. The basic sciences here at Northwestern instilled their fair share of worry and fear, if you were to ask me. And I must say, it took me a while to figure out their exact role, the basic sciences, in the art of healing. But I remember well the exact day I did figure it out. I remember well, we had studied so hard for one of Dr. Frick's frickin' biochemistry tests. Oh. I remember it was on the frickin' Krebs cycle. I'd studied so hard, I knew it so well too. It's citrate to isocitrate to alpha-ketoglutarate. You remember this? The loss of one NADH, one carbon dioxide, and one hydrogen. We all knew it so well. We came to this very lecture hall right here to write that test. And I sat right up that center aisle right there, right in that back seat. Ma'am, you have the best seat in the house, I'm telling you. I sat there every lecture. You can sneak in late, leave early. If you need to go to the washroom, slip out. No one will notice, no big deal. You get bored, wander the halls. Anyway, when we came here to write that test, it was on the Krebs cycle. And I went down to the basic science office 2 days later to find out my grade, which is posted on this wall that's affectionately and appropriately, if you were to ask me, known as the wailing wall. Because you'd find out your grade, and unless you're like Tanis in our class, you'd just start bawling sometimes at your grade. It was just depressing. But beside where all the grades were posted was this poster called Biochemical Pathways of the Human Body. You guys remember this poster? It's really intimidating poster with all these tiny little writing, chemical equations, complicated lines and arrows, and how one cycle fed into another and whatnot. And if you drummed up enough courage to go up to this thing, and if you squinted really hard, you could see where the Krebs cycle, this thing we'd been studying for like weeks, where it fit into the big scheme of things. It was depressing. I mean, it was very depressing. And just when I thought I had it all figured out, or at least as my grade indicated, 37% of it anyway. I think Jane, you got 74, so I think you doubled me on that sucker. But, it was on that day that I realized the basic sciences, they're not taught to bash down our self-confidence and our self-esteem. That's not their role. The role of the basic sciences, they're not taught, I don't think, to increase our memorization and regurgitation skills, because we all know that just leads to vegetation, to stagnation of the mind. I don't think that's their role. And I don't think they're taught to rob us of our imaginations and creative energies, as they so often did, because we all know that imagination is more important than knowledge. We'd read that poster coming down that stairwell all the time. And this I know for sure. There's no way the basic sciences were taught to teach us all there is to know about the human body. Many, many, many millions of lifetimes haven't been able to answer that question. So surely in our 4 years at this fine institution, we're not going to have that figured out. We're not going to have that figured out in our 40-year careers. It was on that day that I realized the basic sciences are taught with one goal in mind, and that is to inspire us with a sense of awe. A-W-E. You know, Webster's dictionary defines awe as fear mingled with admiration. Admiration, fascination, and appreciation for this thing called life that we chiropractors get to work with every single day, and things bigger than life. It's unbelievable. Is it just me, or is it fascinating to contemplate that every single one of us here in this room started to form when two little cells came together? From that day on, our innate intelligence, or the divine spark, or our soul, or God, or whatever you want to call it, chiropractors call it innate intelligence, has guided, controlled, and directed every function necessary for life. Every day, night and day, awake and or asleep, doesn't matter. Our hearts continue to beat every second of every minute, of every day, of every hour, from birth until death. It's unbelievable. Even before birth, 3 weeks after these two cells came together. It's fascinating. Our innate intelligence causes us to inhale oxygen, exhale carbon dioxide. We take in mixed substances every single day called food. We break them down mechanically, then chemically, then extract from them just exactly what's needed in just the exact right proportions at just the exact right time. And our body somehow knows how to assemble that into body nourishment, into cells and Golgi apparatuses and fingernails. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And man, if you ever find yourself starting to lose that sense of awe within you, if you ever find yourself starting to lose the curiosity of the child within you, whoa, beware. Because I believe we need a sense of awe to fuel our flame of passion. Did anyone see the movie Amadeus? Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart? A couple head nods, yeah. There was a character in that movie called Salieri. He's a court composer. And upon realizing young Mozart's genius, when he hears his music for the first time, he contemplates his own mediocre gifts by comparison and confides to the audience. He says, "Is it enough just to have passion?" I don't know. Is it enough? Is it enough? Is it enough just to have passion? I believe it's not only enough, I think it's everything. The faculty we will remember years from now will be the ones that ignited our flame of interest with their passion. I can personally say that Dr. Sweary brought my pot of water from a simmering interest to a boil. And how do we describe anyone in any profession, doesn't matter, when that flame of interest, that flame of passion starts to grow a little dim? We describe them as being burnt out, don't we? Or as you Americans would say, burnt out. You know, I had the wonderful opportunity, I knew this was going to be tough, to grow up in a loving family, which not all people can say, loving family, a supporting family, all of whom are here today, and I can't look over here, and I thank them for their continued support. I also had the wonderful opportunity to work alongside an extremely passionate man for a decade of summers. This man has built dozens of houses and factories in just 2.5 short decades. And I've had the wonderful opportunity to watch many of them go from an idea, a dream, to a set of blueprints, a plan, to their final inspection. And I can say that each one of them was built one brick at a time, one nail at a time. This man is by far my biggest mentor in life because he is passionate about what he does, and because he's a man of action. He walks his talk. He realizes that an ounce of action is worth a ton of theory. And somewhere in this man's innate being, he realizes what Mother Teresa has been telling us all along, that we cannot do great things, none of us, only small things with great love. That man, as you might have guessed, is my dad, and I Ron Wilson, and I thank him for being him. You know, I struggled through chiropractic college trying to gain a perspective on exactly what it is we do. You know, because we can't touch everything that we build. We can't see everything that it is that we're creating. And, you know, there's a story that I simply must tell of a cathedral. An hour's train ride to the south and west of Paris is in this tiny town that the great Gothic Cathedral of Chartres is located. And it's without question the most magnificent statement in stained glass and stone that exists on the face of this planet. And the story about Chartres is an old one. Some of you might have heard it. But the story of Chartres goes something like this. There was a visitor from Rome that stopped by to see this amazing thing that was being built in this tiny little town. He got there at the end of the day, just when the building was being constructed in its early days, what was being built. He got there at the end of the day, and he entered into the cathedral, and off to his left was this man. He was brushing some dust off the front of him. And he approached the man, and he says, "What do you do?" And the man says, "I'm a stonemason." And the visitor goes in the church a little bit farther, and he bumps into someone else. They're brushing some wood chips off the front of them. And he says, "What do you do?" And the man says, I'm a woodworker. I'm making some beams over here." The visitor goes in the church a little bit farther, and he bumps into someone else. They're brushing some dust off the front of him. He says, "What do you do?" He said, "I'm a stained glass window maker." Finally, this visitor gets as far back in that great structure as he can go, and he sees an older woman, and she's busy with some younger children, and they're busy sweeping and cleaning up, putting tools away. And he approaches this woman, and he says, "What do you do?" And the woman looks down at the children, and then she looks up at the great structure rising above her. And then she smiles and looks the man in the eye and says, "Me? I'm building a cathedral for the glory of God." This woman had a perspective on her place in the big scheme of things. And though it was not grand by title, not architect, not stonemason, not stained glass window maker, she had a perception of where she fit in the big puzzle of life. And what I find inspiring about this story is that this woman would not have seen that cathedral built in her lifetime. That cathedral would not have been built in those children's lifetime, and yet she realized what she was building, what she was a part of. You know, I think it's so important that we have a clear perception of what it is that we do, exactly what it is we do. You know, it's vital to our future success as chiropractors, individually and collectively. And commencement gives us that opportunity. Commencement denotes a start, a beginning. And maybe that's why they call it commencement. And do you realize that today is the first day of the rest of our lives? And is it just me, or is it exciting to be standing on the edge of tomorrow? Do you have a dream? Do you have a goal? Do you have a vision that you're working towards? You know, Dr. Martin Luther King, who wasn't a chiropractor, but still a pretty good guy, I think. He said that until you have a dream worth dying for, you don't have a life worth living for. Pretty powerful statement, isn't it? Helen Keller was once asked, "What could possibly be worse than being blind and deaf?" She responded, "Having eyes, but no vision." You know, many of the patients that we had the opportunity of adjusting at the school satellite clinics are here today. I want to first of all thank them all for coming. On behalf of the classmates, I want to thank you for entrusting yourselves to our care while we're so young in our careers. I want to thank you for allowing us to watch your bodies heal and instilling in us that if we can remove even some of the suffering in your life, then we have contributed to the good of humanity. Because perhaps then you'll be able to serve your people better, your family better, do your job better. I'm going to miss you all, especially my classmates of so many years, so many memories, so many memories. Seminars in the Twin Cities, on campus and off, Mount Horeb and elsewhere. Chiro games in Davenport and Dallas, a couple good memories there. A couple foggy ones too, really. Mike Powell, Patty Hort, I want to thank you guys for motivating a whole bunch of us to escape the confines of this school and seek out some true chiropractic philosophy that this school is so sadly, sadly, sadly missing? Don't get me wrong, I love this school. I'm very proud of this school, but it is weak, very weak. Boy, oh boy, is it weak when it comes to chiropractic philosophy. I want to thank you guys for motivating us to go to Parker in Chicago, Dallas, and Las Vegas, get down to a Dynamic Essentials seminar in Atlanta. It's unbelievable. I want to thank you guys for doing that. You know, so many good memories, so many good memories, so many good memories to bring a smile to my face and a glow to my heart when my day, you know, just isn't quite going right on. You know, I just tap into that vault and I put a good memory in my mind and carry on. I want to thank you. Juno, Brian, Michelle, I'm going to miss our late night coffee shop study sessions. And the proverbial question that was always asked, once others in the coffee shop had figured out we were chiropractors, which really wasn't that hard because we'd all be studying with our easy readers propped up, trying to save our cervical curves. And they'd always ask, this question in the same way, you know. It used to bother me at first. I used to go, chiropractic? Why chiropractic? You know, it used to bother me. Sometimes I was stressed out studying. Sometimes I was downright rude to these people. I'd just say, you know, cuz, you know. But a more respectful response is required now. And so now when somebody asks me this, you know, what, chiropractic? Why? Why chiropractic? Colleen Hathaway gave me this anonymous quote thingy that I read one time and just resonated with who I am and what I believe. And so now when someone comes up to me and says, you know, chiropractic? Why? You know, I say, well, I don't know. You know, just because I honor the inborn potential of everyone to be truly healthy. You know, why chiropractic? Because I desire to help the newborn, the aged, and those without hope. You know, why chiropractic? Because I choose to care for the patient with the disease, not the disease. You know, why chiropractic? Because I seek to correct the cause, not its effect. Why chiropractic? Because I learned long ago that the body doesn't, or the doctors don't heal. The body heals itself. You know, why chiropractic? Because I've been called upon to serve others. You say this to some people, it's called upon. Haven't we all been called upon to serve others? Is it not what we're doing? You know, why chiropractic? Because I get to witness the miracle of life every single day. You know, why chiropractic? Because I know it's right. Don't we all know when things are right? Don't we? And isn't it usually when we quiet our educated minds, you know, turn down some of the static up top here just long enough to listen to the fellow within, as B.J. Palmer would say, that's the developer of chiropractic? Man, you know, if you need to be on a mountaintop in the middle of Missoula, Montana to hear that inner voice, then I guess that's what you have to do. Because our greatest gift to humanity is to fulfill our heart's desire and become the best us that we can become. That's the beautiful thing about living in a free country. We will all make this world a better place if we can bring to it our own unique and individual excellence and quality and originality. That is our greatest gift to give. You know, we should all just learn to become ourselves and block fear from our minds. Be well, do what you love, and love what you do. And remember, when the whole world seems to be working against you, remember that quote from Einstein that said, "Great spirits, read chiropractic, have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds." Thank you. God bless you all.
Couldn't be done. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. That was great. Can't we see how Mark's passion and intellect are going to inspire patients and his community and other members of the profession to their highest level of service. Thank you, Mark. Some of our students' families are participating in our graduation today. The Reverend Bankson Art, who did our invocation and later our benediction, is the cousin of one of our graduates, Michael Peterson. We're grateful for that. Another member of the graduating class, Janelle M. Hammerschmidt, is going to accompany her sister, Tiffany Kerr, who will sing Leave You With a Smile.
Or the background.
Presenting the KMMF Spotlight on Business.
Paul's Archery Center is Montana's newest and most complete archery pro shop. Paul's Archery Center features an indoor shooting range, state-of-the-art bow tuning center, and the best brands in the business, as well as accessories and clothing for bow hunting and target shooting. Paul's Archery Center is located in Missoula at 240 Expressway, behind Carl Tyler Chevrolet. Paul's Archery Center, home of the pros.
To find out how your business can qualify for the KMMF Spotlight, call 251-1360.